Briefing room, I'm Madhavdas G. The month-long showdown on Delhi streets may be over, but the battle for exam reforms has now moved to Parliament. With the protests ending, the centre is under pressure to turn its promises into law. Today, the centre introduced a sweeping amendment to the anti-paper leak legislation, promising tougher punishments, fast-track courts and time-bound investigation. The bill proposes a complete overhaul of the existing law, with stricter jail terms, steeper financial penalties and dedicated investigation teams in special courts to ensure that paper leak cases are investigated and tried within fixed timelines.
I rise to move for leave to introduce the Public Examinations Prevention of Unfair Means Amendment Bill 2026 to amend the Public Examination Prevention of Unfair Means Bill 2024.
Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju reiterated government's stand about moving forward with the discussion on the anti-paper leak bill, while the Congress wants the Home Minister to issue a statement on the alleged police brutality and use of pellet guns. Listen in.
बच्चों के लिए, युवाओं के लिए, छात्रों का जिंदगी के लिए ये महत्वपूर्ण बिल है। जानबूझ करके कांग्रेस पार्टी और उसके कुछ साथी जानबूझ करके आज इतना महत्वपूर्ण बिल पे चर्चा होने नहीं दे रहे हैं। पहले दिन तो वो कह रहे थे कि चर्चा करना चाहिए, एग्जाम का मामला है, बच्चों का मामला है। अब जब चर्चा करने के लिए इतना महत्वपूर्ण बिल लेकर के जब आया है, फिर भी ये कर रहे हैं, ये अच्छा नहीं लग रहे हैं। मैं कांग्रेस के साथियों को कहना चाहता हूँ, ऐसा काम मत कीजिए, जो आपका जो इमेज है बहुत गिर चुका है।
हम चर्चा से डरने वाले नहीं हैं, चर्चा करने को तैयार हैं, लेकिन होम मिनिस्टर सदन में आके स्टेटमेंट करना चाहिए और उन्होंने जो लाठी
And Parliament witnessed yet another day of disruption. The anti-paper leak bill took centre stage even as the opposition demanded accountability over the brutality on students. As the government tabled the bill in the Lok Sabha, Speaker Om Birla has allotted 6 hours for the debate. And as per the Speaker, 91 amendments to the bill have already been moved. But amid the relentless sloganeering and the opposition's demand for a statement from the Home Minister, both houses were repeatedly disrupted, with Lok Sabha adjourned 6 times before Parliament was finally adjourned till Tuesday. Now let's take a deep dive into what the exam reform law is all about. Under the proposed law, jail terms could be doubled from 3 to 5 years to 5 to 10 years, while penalties may jump from 10 lakh rupees to as much as 10 crore rupees. Investigations will have to be completed within 2 months, with special fast-track courts aiming to finish trials in 3 months. A dedicated special task force will also be set up to exclusively probe the paper leak cases. Now, what really are we talking about is the political reaction coming from the opposition side. The Congress, the DMK and the Samajwadi Party as well as JMM have all signalled that while stronger laws are welcome, Parliament cannot ignore questions over implementation, accountability and the handling of the student protests. And that's why the Congress says today's bill cannot become an escape route from yesterday's accountability. Congress says the problem was never the absence of legislation. The problem, it argues, was the people running the system. The rest of the India bloc, meanwhile, is trying to strike a careful balance. Samajwadi Party says the alliance will decide its flow strategy together. JMM says Parliament must resist the temptation to rush the legislation and wants every clause of the bill scrutinized.
अभी तो फिलहाल जो छात्र नौजवानों के साथ कई जगह पर सरकार केस करा रही है, मुकदमे लिखा रही है। सरकार को चेतना को चुनौती नहीं देनी चाहिए और सरकार के लिए चेतना ही चुनौती बन गई। और अभी तो बात हम सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के लीडर बैठ के बात करेंगे क्या तय करना है।
I don't think the government is in a position to tell us anything right now. I think what we have seen is the only step one. We have seen the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan, delayed as it were. What is most important now is accountability from the Home Ministry. Either Amit Shah gave the...
Withdraw FIRs and notices, release detained persons and refrain from future action in those cases. That's the latest breaking update coming in fact, from Patna. Let's quickly take this across to our guest now. Joining us is Tuhin Sinha, BJP's national spokesperson. Nigat Abbas is Congress spokesperson joining us. Sanjay Sahai is a former IPS officer. We also have Mr. PK Jain, senior IPS officer retired, who's with us on the show. Let me start with you first and foremost, Tuhin Sinha. Let me begin with what has happened as far as Bihar is concerned. In Delhi, while there was a debate about whether pellet guns were used or not, and of course, reports being sought within the RAF, now an AK-47 being used against students. The very fact that the government is now assured to withdraw those FIRs raises serious questions about what really was happening even in Bihar, another NDA-ruled state where this kind of strong action or excessive force, as opposition is alleging, was used against protesters there.
Well, good evening, Madhav. Good evening, everybody. It has been clarified that the constable who used AK-47, nobody was injured in that usage. Number one, that constable has been suspended and an investigation has been initiated. I think that should address the matter for now. The issue is, the agreement between CJP and the government on Saturday has clearly rattled the Congress party, and now it has gone on a, vengeance with new goalpost changing gimmicks every day. I think today was a very important day in Parliament and the historic legislation was introduced. Why does the Congress party not want to discuss or stall it? There can be only two motives. One, for Congress party, it was never about student interest. They were using students as cannon fodder. And number two, Congress party wants to shield the exam paper leak mafia from the impact of the new bill. I don't see any other reason, because a senior leader like Kharge ji, 84-year-old senior leader like Kharge ji does not understand that when the parliament is on, you need to discuss those issues rather than put out social media posts with your questions. Have we said we are not going to answer those questions? In fact, from last Wednesday, which is 5 days now, we have been chasing this Congress party. Come for discussion. Our minister is in charge, is prepared to answer each and every question on the floor of the House. Madhav, let's be clear. Just 10 seconds. Let's be clear. I don't want to be dishonest like the Congress party. This is not a perfect situation. There have been anomalies. There has been an imperfect situation, which is why we have been debating this issue for the last 1 week. But we are not running away. Okay. We are prepared to face the opposition questions. It is the opposition which is...
Nigat, let Nigat take that question. Let her answer that now. Nigat, you are running away from the debate. If Parliament is meant to debate and discuss issues threadbare, the allegation from BJP is that you're using students as cannon fodder. Why not engage in a debate if that is what Parliament was meant for? If that was what this bill is going to do, it's going to resolve several of the issues that have been raised.
Madhav, first of all, good evening to you, my co-panelist, and your viewers this evening. Secondly, there is one point of commonality and one point of contention tonight. The point of commonality is that, yes, everyone is saying that justice should be given to the student and youth of our country. And the point of contention is that whether this government meant a single word when it categorically assured the entire nation that no punitive actions would be taken against the protesters. And if at all, Madhav, the government was, the assurance given by the government was genuine, then please explain this, that why is that, my question number one, that why is that the protesters' photos are being released? I mean, I want to know from the respectable spokesperson that do you even treat them as students, or do you say that they are fugitives on the run? Point number two, that why is that the content creators who criticize the education minister are being booked? I mean, I don't understand that when does the criticism became the prosecutable offense under Modi ji's leadership. Point number three, that why is that West Bengal government precisely
some of the contention will be, allow me Nigat, some of them will say that the content creators crossed the line of decency with the kind of abusive language that they used. Do you agree with the language used by some of those content creators?
I am coming to that point. I will. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But right now what is happening, Madhav, I am sorry to say, but this is a political witch hunt against the entire generation who dare to ask the legitimate question and uncomfortable questions to PM Narendra Modi and his government. So yes, content creators are being booked. I mean, there are many questions I can ask. No, allow me to finish.
Quick, let me get a response. You made a serious charge. Content creators being booked.
No protester, no.
One second, Nigat, let's just get a response from BJP. You made a very important point. Allow me to get the response from BJP. A very simple point being made, an important one, Tuhin Sinha. Why are content creators being booked? And it is also a fact that the very CJP with which you had an agreement on Saturdays today threatening to go back on dharna, saying that we didn't agree to a situation where FIRs would continue and people would continue to be arrested. Students are being arrested as we speak is what they say.
Madhav, like I had said, you know, a lot of people are very unhappy with this agreement and have embarked on an extended and, you know, more extended misinformation campaign with greater vengeance. Now, you know, with the decision of the Bihar government today, it is very clear that we have a compassionate attitude. So, you know, all cases up to 26 July, 6 p.m. stand withdrawn. Isn't that a compassionate gesture? You know, but at the same time, I want to ask the Congress party, you know, the exemption was for anarchy, or was for, you know, supposed indiscretion up to a certain period. If new indiscretion, if the new anarchy is carried out tomorrow, do they expect a, you know, infinite exemption?
Okay, I'll put that question across to Congress. One second, but there's one simple problem here. Forget what the Congress and the political parties are saying. Your government had engaged the CJP in talks. Today, CJP is saying we will sit down in dharna again because our agreement is being reneged upon by the government. This is what CJP is saying. So how are you going to address that issue? Will you give them the written assurance that they are demanding that FIRs will not be filed against the protesters?
No, Madhav, this is precisely what I'm saying. The CJP is being misled by vested interests over here. And when I say vested interests, it's the Congress party, which has come out a loser in this entire 7 days. They tried to hijack the movement. Eventually, it was between the CJP and the government. So stop misleading the youth of the country. You know, like I said, the Bihar government's gesture is
I agree with you. Yes, we've noted this news just now. The Bihar government has shown that gesture. Can Delhi police also follow suit? Will they follow suit? Yes or no? To insist on a simple question.
No, how can I give you an answer now? There is an investigation underway as to why the pellet gun was used. What I can tell you, Madhav, is that any instance of unprovoked violence, and when I say any instance of unprovoked violence, that includes on your journalist, Mr. Kotak.
Absolutely, I completely agree. In fact, that is an important point that has to be addressed.
All cases. Yeah. So the important word over here is unprovoked violence from both sides need to be condemned, needs to be investigated and subsequently acted upon.
Nigat, answer that. What about those who have taken law and order into their own hands? Those who have, for instance, beaten up journalists or cops without any provocation. There are several such videos as well. I'm not, discounting from the aspect or the allegations of police excess, but what about those who have made those unprovoked acts of violence?
I'll not let Tuhin Sinha or this government run away from the questions. This is not governance. This is intimidation. Madhav, the government had two choices. The government had two choices. Either you fix the system or you fix the protester. Sadly, the government chose to fix the protester. It chose the latter. I mean, you chose to book the content creators. You chose to identify the protesters, the students, file an FIR against them, chase them, do the witch hunt. I mean, this is not what the protesters needed. They just look for accountability. And if you have to answer the questions that who ordered to use the AK-47 against the students, you need to tell us that who ordered the lathi charge on the students. You need to tell us that who ordered to use the pellet guns against the students. You need to tell us that why the lathi charge was done against the students. They were just asking questions. I mean, you cannot be running away.
You've also not answered the question that I've posed. If you are accusing Tuhin of now running away from the question, please answer the question about what should be done to those who took law and order into their own hands, those who've crossed the level of decency in terms of their speech. If they are going to abuse it, then there has to be some kind of line that has to be drawn.
They should be booked. They should be booked. Madhav, I reiterate myself. Madhav, I reiterate myself, the ones who were involved in any kind of violence must
Okay,
be...
I'm glad you said that. Let's quickly get a word from the police officials on the panel. Mr. P.K. Jain, why should AK-47, why should pellet guns be used in the first place? What were the officials thinking when they were using that? At the end of the day, yes, the police's job, and a difficult one at that, to maintain law and order in the proximity of Parliament. But can this kind of behavior, this kind of treatment be allowed? Because clearly this is something, pellet guns have stopped being used in Jammu and Kashmir. And here we are in a situation where it's being used outside Parliament in the national capital.
Good evening, Madhav. Thank you very much for having me here. See, it is a question of when the force should be used and how much force should be used in a given situation. I think the officer on the spot is given the leeway to decide that. In this case, the pellet guns are a non-lethal use of force as a last resort. You know, there was a time when we used to use only 303 rifles, which would kill people. Pellet guns are not supposed to kill people. They can cause injury, yes, if one is hit in the eye or somewhere in the facial region or up to the neck. So, pellet guns are traditionally been known as non-lethal weapons, which are used to disperse crowd, which is bent upon creating mischief or violence.
But sir, what if it ends up blinding people? The allegation in some cases is that it has blinded a young protester.
In this case, would you expect the police to stand silent in case the agitators were going to storm the Parliament?
No, not at all. There is lathi charge, tear gas. There are many options that the police has at its disposal.
Everything was done. If you remember, pellets are used as the last resort, I said. They are not the first resort of response by the police. It is always lathi charge first, then the tear gas and lathi charge, and then the pellets or the guns. The guns always come the last. So therefore, to say that the pellet guns were used freely by the police, see, only 3 or 4 agitators out of thousands have been injured. Pellet guns are fired. Each pellet capsule has about 15-20 chharras in there. Now, if with those many rounds fired, only 3-4 people have got injured.
Okay, Sanjay Sahib, would you like to respond to Mr. Jain, who says that it has been used? Can I just get a response from Mr. Sahib, please, Mr. Jain? Mr. Sahib, this has been used sparingly. Only 3 or 4 out of tens of thousands have been injured.
No. As far as we can get into that 3 or 4 or whatever. What stopped RAF from accepting that they were using pellet guns? What stopped CRPF from accepting that they were using pellet guns? What stopped Delhi police? Or why did the Delhi police come up with a statement saying that pellets guns is not a part of their armory, knowing fully well that the RAF/CRPF would have used it? So that's one part of the story. The second part of the story is, at that particular situation where the pellet guns have been used, where there was tear gas, lathi charge, tear gas, lathi charge, and then the pellet guns in that sequence, and the violence escalating from the tear gas to the pellet guns. So it happened in one situation as such, and whether this sequential change has happened or not, which is very, very interesting and fascinating, is that in the Indian scenario, no senior officer comes and addresses the press. And it is unfortunate for this country that we find spokesperson batting for the government. It is the government's job to come right there, and it happens all across the globe. Whether it is the mayor or the police chief, they will come out and explain as to what has happened. This whole mess which has been created is primarily out of the fact that there is no responsible police officer or a bureaucrat or a political executive who comes out in the open and explains as to what has happened. Okay. And that will be the end of this. That will be the end of the story.
There's a veil of opacity.
Let me tell you one more thing. That it is a broken political system. However much BJP and Congress, they battle with it. At the end of the day, they have been occupying the same space. And if BJP comes in opposition today, they will do exactly the same thing which Congress is doing today.
Correct.
As long as one white paper, one line only, white paper.
I want Mr. Jain to respond. One second. I want Mr. Jain to respond. You made a very important point. This lack of communication, this fog of disinformation, whatever one chooses to call it, why could the police not have a press conference on day one and very clearly communicate what has happened, Mr. P.K. Jain? At the highest level, they could have done so.
Absolutely. I agree with Mr. Sahai. Somebody should have...
Okay, I think we've lost that line there with Mr. M. But Sanjay Sahai, there's an interesting statistic. Delhi Police today says that 2,873 persons were identified around the protest sites, assumably using the FRS software, of which 989 had criminal antecedents, including heinous crimes such as murder, rape, robbery, kidnapping, Arms Act violations. So this too is an interesting concern, because this really raises the question about whether criminal elements had sort of gotten into that protest.
I will tell you the concern. The concern is always in retrospect, in hindsight. They had the FRS software with them since ages. And when the terrorist was traveling from Faridabad to Delhi and he crossed nearly 50 CCTV cameras, nobody was able to use that FRS software. Now, once everything is over, you are coming up with FRS software. So that is with regards to the capability and use of technology by Delhi police and the Delhi government. And another interesting facet of Delhi government is during the last dispensation that they put 1 lakh cameras in Delhi. So Delhi is the most populated of CCTV cities in the world, and that 1 lakh camera, I don't think they're absolutely doing any job. Okay. I'm a computer vision expert in my own right. Now the second thing is, if these 2,000 whatever odd numbers you are talking about and their antisocial element, they have registered criminal antecedents. When the agreement was being signed, it should have been told to the CJP. It should have been part of the deal.
But we're completely out of time. Important point that you're making there, Sanjay Sahai. Sorry I'm interrupting you, but totally out of time. Tuhin Sinha, Nigat Abbas, Sanjay Sahai, as well as Mr. PK Jain, thank you so much for joining us this evening. All eyes on what will happen as far as the political aspect in Parliament tomorrow is concerned.